Well, hello, welcome to the ITL. This week I'm going to actually show you guys how I clean and lubricate the chain on my 2009 KLR 650. Now, you have to remember whenever I'm doing this, there are several ways you could clean a chain. It's really up to the individual. As far as product goes, I'll explain to you why I use certain products and why I do certain things. It's really up to you to make up your mind what you want to do. And you gotta keep in mind, we're talking about a KLR 650 here. Most KLR 650 owners do everything, let me say, low, easy in the pocket, cheap. So you gotta remember that too. And I'm following in the running for how the KLR 650 owners would do it. But I figured, you know what, I'll go ahead and do this video. Maybe it'll answer some questions so a newbie might have. Who knows? I mean, my thought on it is the only dumb question is the question that's never asked. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, everybody, here we're back down the bike here. Take a look at the chain. You might say, "Oh, Mike, it looks a little bit loose on her," let alone being dirty and cruddy. Actually, this is not what you consider loose. It doesn't quite touch the bottom of the swing arm, and also the bike is not on its resting point. The resting point's whenever both wheels are on the ground. It's sitting without the aid of anything. Then you should test it. This is actually this on the dual sports. Actually, the KLR 650, it should just become within about half inch away from the swing arm, give or take, and you're good. You don't want it any tighter or looser to flop around. But you can tell my chain is all crudded up. You might ask, okay, Mike, what do you use to clean? Well, I use nothing but, well, you see right here, this is nothing but a little spray bottle I bought at the dollar store, and it's got kerosene in it. I've got the O-ring chains, and this is actually recommended. You can use this for O-ring chains, you can use it for X-ring chains. It's a mild, kerosene is a mild cleaner, so you don't have to worry about it too much. You can actually use this for the older chains. It doesn't have the seals in them to clean off the grease and stuff. There's stuff on the market you can buy, but this is so cheap compared to what? Around $10 a bottle. This is what? I think it was a couple bucks a gallon. You know what I mean? And also I have a kerosene heater in the garage, so I got it hanging sitting around anyway. But you say, well, what do you use a lube? Well, in the winter time, I use nothing but WD-40. Of course, you got to do it a lot more. Lube your chain a lot more with WD-40. But simple WD-40 works in the wintertime because it's a thin lube. You want a light lubrication for the chain. In the summertime, I go with something a little bit thicker. I'm not particular with name brands, but chain wax. I picked this up at a local Harley Davidson shop. Actually, it was a fairly good price. Actually, this one here was $11.50. But I use basically any type of chain lube. It's just how often you put it on. The wax, I can get away with about 300 miles, 400 miles, sometimes 500 miles if I forget about it. Where, like, if you're going to use WD-40, you got to put it on, say, every 150, 200 miles. You can just maybe squeak a little bit more out on it. But yeah, you can see the bike is kind of up in the air on my jack. You can see the jack down here. But this is just basically, you gotta get the rear end up off the ground so you can spin your rear wheel. Now let's get off on the inspection. First off, take a look at it. My chain is in pretty darn good shape. You can take a look at your sprockets while you're down here. My rear sprocket looks pretty decent. You can't see it on camera too well, but my rear sprocket looks pretty decent. Front sprocket's got just starting to show a little bit of wear. Probably changing that a little bit later this year. You can't see that though. And it's like, okay, let's get into the cleaning. Well, first off, you need to get yourself a piece of cardboard. Or you could. I used cardboard to protect the the wheel and any off spray. And I gotta rip it down, put that in. But I use a piece of cardboard just to protect the wheel from spray. Something like that. You can have it hanging down on the floor and everything if you want to protect your floor. But that's where I start. Let's go ahead and set the spray. I drench down the chain really good with the kerosene. I'm going to let it just drench down on the floor. And then the second box, let's go ahead and put the cardboard underneath it just so it absorbs it off the floor. Just drench that chain. I mean, don't forget these O-rings are sealing the grease inside the chain, so you don't have to worry too much about this. It's just that you're just cleaning the chain on the outside. Don't forget you got 4 sides of the chain. I'm moving the wheel. If you notice, I'm moving the wheel. Basically, the wheel is running backwards to what it normally does, and I do that out of basically I've learned through time that you don't run the other way, you get in the fear of getting your fingers or something else caught in the sprocket. Whenever you do that, it hurts. If not, maybe for the rest of your life. So go ahead and do it. Safety third, you know. Take care of yourself. Wrench the chain down. Get the kerosene in there to work. Start working. You can let that sit for a couple of minutes if you wanted to. Just for time restraints, we'll talk about, well, what kind of brushes you need to get. You can get the grunge brush, which actually will do 3 out of 4 sides. You can buy those. They're not, I don't know what the prices are. I know they're not cheap. Or you can use some people use a toothbrush. I normally, if I have a toothbrush around, I'll go ahead and get in there with a toothbrush. A lot of times I'll just grab a hold of one of these. And you can get the hold of any type of brush from the dollar store. Yes, I'm talking about the true dollar store. The one that everything's $1 inside. Not they could call it a dollar store, then you go in there and something's $50. No, this is from the dollar store. You just want something that has kind of soft bristles. You don't too hard of a bristle. This is actually a tire brush, and the bristles are not too hard on it. But you want just any type of brush. Just remember, you don't want a hard bristle brush. A hard bristle brush, you can get in between the links sometimes, and it'll actually ruin your seals. You don't want to ruin your O-ring seals or your X-ring seals, whatever it be. But it's been sitting for what, a minute or two? Let's go ahead and do another round. This will be a quick one. And I do use the master link in my chain. Well, if you have a brand new chain, probably won't have the master link in it. I use the master link as a guide. And there's the master link in. That way I know it's one full revolution. But then you get in there after let it sit for another minute. You'll get in there and start scrubbing away. I mean, it's just not a hard thing to do. This is just one of those jobs you don't really want to do all the time. But you don't forget, you have 4 sides, like I said again. You have the top, bottom, you have the underneath. And no, this is not going to come out perfect. As I said, it's an older chain. It's been around for a while. After you get a little bit of scrubbing done, just give her a good old dose. I'm going to turn my nozzle up a little more. Do this more as a spray. This is a rinse. Get a rinsing going on in there. Get all that crud out of there. And if need to be, we will re-scrub. Get as much of this crud out of there as we can. Okay. There is spots left over. You can see them like right here. I mean, some of it's not going to come off of this chain because it's just years of wear. tear, but what I'm going to do is go through one more time and just give it a light scrub. Just to get as much as I can off of it. And I'll go through around once or twice because I'm trying to get the back side too on the second pass. Then we'll go through another rinse, which this bottle is almost out. Give her a good scrub. Okay, after good scrubbing, give her a rinse again. And just the grease and the grime is just flowing out of there. That's what you want to see. Now at this point, you'll still see a little bit of here and there. And then this stuff is just not going to go away. So we're going to go ahead and just leave that sit, leave it drip off. Okay, just to speed things up a little bit along here. All I'm using is a shop rag. This is my orange shop rag. Go up underneath here. Hold it up. Let it rub out. All I'm doing is wipe it off the kerosene. Remember, don't get too close to any of the sprockets. They'll bite you. Got that pretty well cleaned off, dried up. Now's the lubing. Now, let me get a piece of cardboard here. Another piece of cardboard just to protect the wheels from the lid and everything from the lid. Which I'm gonna tear it so it goes over it so it holds it in place for me. Okay, there we go. Now what kind of lube do I use? Well, like I said, I use basically anything that was cheap out there. It's a chain lube. You can use WD-40 in the wintertime. Wouldn't say use it in the summertime. It's too light of a lube for that. You want anything that won't sling off, that you don't have to redo too often. I choose this chain wax. It is Maxima chain wax. It works. It sticks on there. It stays thick. I just leave it sit for a little bit just so it sets up before I ride. You gotta shake it up a bit. Give it a good saturation. My nozzle ain't working right. I don't know why. Just give it a good round and round. Now this will drip a little bit if you put it on as thick as I am. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll let it sit. Let it sit for a few minutes, maybe 5, 6 minutes. That gets it into the joint, in between the links a bit. And try to make sure you get the whole link whenever you're spraying it. Notice I'm spraying down and to the side. Trying to let it drip along the back side. I'm just doing this just for time restraints. Then you grab yourself a rag after it sits for a little bit And all I'm doing right here is trying to wipe off any excess that could fling. Just very lightly. Run the rag around. That way you don't get flinging. Now, I don't know if you could tell the difference in the microphone. When I first started, it had a little, like a real clunking sound to it. The chain. Now, what you're hearing is actually just going around the sprocket a little bit. I'm good with this. Actually, I'm good for about 400 miles. Probably I can probably stretch it out to about 500 miles. But this is just a bits and part of how to try to take care of your bike, get the most out of it on the cheap. You notice everything I used except for right here. This is the most expensive part of the whole deal. And I've actually used off-the-shelf chain lubes that like PB Blaster makes and everything else, and I can get them like $8 every now and then. You get whatever. I get whatever's cheap, but I know it's thick. They'll stick for the winter, summertime. During wintertime, WD-40. It's cheap. As far as cleaners, kerosene cleaner in a bottle, cheap. It's gentle on your O-rings. Don't use gasoline; it'll eat them up. You can use diesel fuel. Kerosene and diesel fuel are very closely related. So you can use diesel fuel. Get yourself a cheap brush. Doesn't have to be a fancy, expensive one. Just a cheap little tire brush like this will work. You clean it up, reuse it over and over and over again. That way you only spend $1, and how many cleans you get out of it. Well, this helps somebody out. I know a lot of you old timers like, I already know how to do that. And actually, I learned how to do this off of the old timers. So, you got to watch. You got to use more of this and less of this. And you learn a lot. But I think I'll go ahead and show this for the ITL. It's going to be probably a longer ITL than I really anticipated. But I'll tell you what. This is important to know how to do this, how to do it somewhat correctly. I mean, if you use the wrong stuff, you can hurt your O-rings. And it's going to really diminish your the time that you can get out of your chain. And if you got the older style chains without the O-rings, I mean, still they're cheaper anyway, but they're rougher on the sprockets from what I understand. I'm not too sure about that. But they actually use more of a grease to lubricate the chains, where we use more of the oils and the waxes and stuff. But I mean, why not extend your life like your chain? This is MuzzleMike, hoping you all have a great week, signing out. The only question, a dumb question, is the question that's never asked.